issues that he was looking at was this whole notion of hate. And what's interesting, though, is, I mean, I can't tell you the number of emails that I began to receive when you saw the rhetoric turned up in these rallies and the reaction from the audience. People said, man, what is going on here with the chants, with the various statements? You cannot assign every single comment that was made to the entire campaign, obviously. But people were indeed bothered by what they were hearing. Here's a guy, John Lewis, who was living in that moment. He's got a steel plate in his head because he remembers that. Was he calling them a bigot? No, but he was saying, look, I'm hearing hate on the campaign trail, and I got a problem with it.
Ed, do you think it was completely out of line?
I think it was out of line. I think John McCain's been very careful not to bring Reverend Wright into this. He's made every effort not to get the racism moving forward. And I think to a certain extent, I don't think John Lewis intended the reaction that it was going to have. At least I hope he didn't. I have great respect for him. But it's one hero calling another hero names, and I think to a certain extent, John McCain had a right to react the way he did.
David, I'm just trying to pull it up on my computer. I want to read you this thing that this Virginia Republican GOP chairman said. He encouraged campaign volunteers to make a connection between Obama and Osama bin Laden by saying they, quote, both have friends that bombed the Pentagon, obviously in a reference to Bill Ayers. What do you make of that? I mean, this guy is not, you know, part of McCain's campaign. He's not, you know, in McCain's campaign, but is this? Well, I mean, where does this go? Where's this going?
Yeah, all sorts of people are going over the line in this campaign in recent weeks. John McCain was absolutely right to reject any comparison between himself and George Wallace. He had every right to stand up and say what he said. I think he was right to do that. But when is John McCain, when is Sarah Palin going to reject the kind of comments that have been made at their rallies? You know, when they have called Obama a terrorist, when they have said off with his head, when they have said kill him, when they have said get him. When are we going to hear words of repudiation about what's been happening, the hatred that's been expressed in some of these rallies?
David, you've heard, I mean, John McCain himself said, look, this is 99.99% of the people who come to my rallies are, you know, good, upstanding, patriotic Americans. Do you buy that?
Absolutely. I think they are, and they're fine Americans. But there are people who are showing up at these rallies who are sowing. John Lewis was right about the sowing of hatred here. And, you know, I think the George Wallace comparison goes too far, but it would be welcome. I know it was, and John McCain did a good thing the other day by talking to that woman saying he's not an Arab, he's a decent man, and so forth and so on. But when are they going to repudiate? In the same way that he just showed so much anger toward the George Wallace comparison, when are they going to repudiate some of the people who were saying these hateful things in their rallies?
I want to play something that a pastor delivering an invocation at a McCain-Palin rally said this weekend. Let's play that.
There are millions of people around this world praying to their God, whether it's Hindu, Buddha, Allah, that his opponent wins for a variety of reasons. And Lord, I pray that you would guard your own reputation, because they're going to think that their God is bigger than you if that happens.
Kind of weird. I mean, he's basically saying that the folks who are praying for Obama are Hindus or Buddhists or Muslim.
What angers me about that, and this has nothing to do with the McCain or Palin campaign, is that a Christian would have the audacity to question the salvation of another Christian. That is what so is offensive. When a person professes with their mouth that Jesus Christ is their Lord and Savior, you don't question that. And he knows Obama is a Christian. He knows what his background is. And here's a pastor who stands there and makes that kind of comment. And I've said it before, and we've seen it in this campaign over and over and over again. And so when people say, well, we can't control what people who are saying when we introduce them, no, you can't pull people aside and say, this is how we're going to conduct ourselves at this rally, what you can say and what you cannot say. And that is offensive from a faith perspective, and faith leaders, regardless of their partisan views, should call him out for it. That's an embarrassment as a preacher, somebody who preaches the gospel.
Ed, are these just isolated incidents, or is this, you know, sort of disorganization?
Unfortunately, we're in an ugly period of American politics, even before this campaign, and we're polarized. We're polarized in the Congress, we're polarized in the country, and in every rally, Democrat, Republican rally, there's intense people, and there are people who aren't out there arguing about positions. They argue hatred. They think that this really is a direction of the country. And there are people who hate Barack Obama just as there are people who hate George Bush and John McCain. And somehow we've got to get back to being Americans again. And whoever wins this election, and I assume it's going to be Barack Obama, we've got to come together and help him and pray for him.
Anti-American stuff is amazing as well, because, Anderson, when you start hearing people chant the whole USA, USA, I mean, I understand what that means. But when your back is turned, typically when you're watching a game, you're typically hearing, oh, you're cheering for USA against somebody who doesn't like the United States. States. They're saying, Obama, you're anti-U.S., McCain's U.S.
I should point out they did chant USA, also the Obama's acceptance speech at the Democratic convention.
Which makes no sense whatsoever.
Roland Martin, we're going to leave it there. David Gergen, Ed Rollins, thanks very much. We're going to update our breaking news on the surging world stock market.